Hey guys, Ryan Dement from Chasing Financial Freedom podcast. I hope you guys are having a great day. This week on the podcast, we have Jeff Smith. He's the KPI guy, but even bigger is he failed in math and English in high school, didn't go to university, and against all odds has the most successful author in history with a book about KPIs. How did that happen? Jeff, welcome into the show.
Hey, Ryan, thank you very much. What an interesting introduction. There's a lot to live up to and explain now, I think.
But hey, it's your life and you're proud of it, so I want to share it. So let's dive right into a little bit about you.
Okay, how far do we go back? Well, I was born at a very early age. So, yeah, my childhood, I was born, raised in England, not the USA. Most people can't pick up on my accent, although I am English.
What?
Yeah. You think I have an English accent?
Yeah. It's not hard. It's not hard to discern.
Well, I travel all over the world speaking at conferences, so my accent is kind of neutralized. And it's odd that you say that because I have a couple of daughters, and when they used to bring a boyfriend home, they'd say, "Is your dad English?" So, so some hear English, some don't. So, anyway, you can understand me. That's the main thing. So, yeah, I was born, raised in England. I had wonderful parents. I had a very loving childhood. Here's the interesting thing. I won't say we were poor. I think that's a state of mind. I'll say we were broke. That's a state of pocket, right? There's a difference between the two. And I did not know that we didn't have any money. I didn't know. I had a wonderful childhood. I go to school. And the first realization that I was at primary school, and the teacher said, "Okay, kids, tomorrow we're going to do a science experiment with some ice, first thing. So when you come in, bring in some ice cubes." And I was born in early 1960. So we're talking about 1965 now. So every kid in the class came in smiling with their bag of ice cubes, apart from me. You know why I didn't bring any ice cubes?
Why?
We didn't have a fridge. We didn't have a refrigerator. Yeah, we didn't have a refrigerator. So
wait, can we back just 1 second to ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
How did you eat?
So there's before refrigerators were invented.
Icebox.
No, we didn't have an icebox. So there's a room inside the house lower down where you kept the coolest, or to keep things from getting hot. In English, we call it a pantry. I think US call it a larder or something like that. So It wasn't until a few years later till we actually had a refrigerator. So so I see all these kids with ice and things like that. And that was kind of my first realization that, okay, maybe we're not as wealthy as other people. Didn't matter to me. I was a really happy kid, and went along through school and things like that. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you, if we fast forward a little, when I got to 18, the journey in that time, my only interest was music. So when I went to school, so you've already said, I failed math, I failed English. It wasn't because I was stupid. It's because I wasn't interested. So my parents were very loving, wonderful, wonderful people. But in terms of school, they were not mentors to me. So I was allowed to be lazy, and I was. And at home, I used to play keyboards. That's what they'd hear. I'd play all the time. And they didn't have much interest in my school stuff. That's probably a little harsh, but that's how it was. I was allowed to be lazy, so I was lazy. I got away with it. That's the truth of the matter. So I left school, became a mechanical and electrician.
Okay.
But all I wanted to do was play music. And what happened is that it was my parents' 25th wedding anniversary. And they hired this ballroom. They hired a band to play for them. And there's a song that's the anniversary waltz. And what happened, the band said, we're going to play the anniversary waltz after the break. We're just going to take a break, so we'll be back in a few moments' time. So they went off stage, and I went to the band leader, and I said, hey, my name's Jeff. It's my mum and dad's silver wedding anniversary. Is it okay if I play the anniversary waltz for them? And I'm 17 years old, and I'm small, like really like, this young kid. And they said, you can play, really? And I said, yeah, sure. So they said, what do you want to play? And I said, I'll play the keyboards. You already have them on the stage there. And they said, do you want the rest of us to stay on? And I'd never played publicly before, never mind on stage or anything like that. And I said, oh, no, I guess the drummer can stay on so we have a beat and keep things going so people can dance. And they said, okay, here's what we'll do. When we go back on stage, we'll all walk on and you'll be standing in the wings. Then I'm going to announce, all right, we'll get your mom and dad into the center of the dance floor. It's time for this special anniversary waltz. So I'll get them there. And then I'll say, but we're not going to play the anniversary waltz. It's going to be played by Jeff. And then you walk on, and then we'll all walk off. And I thought, oh, man, I was crapping myself, as you can imagine. So then this happened. I walk onto the stage, and of course, everybody looks up, goes, oh, wow, start clapping. My mum and dad look up, not expecting it. It's like, wow. So the drummer hits the beat. I start playing. My mum and dad are dancing. They start crying. Everybody's standing around the dance floor. Wonderful time was had by all. So I played that and then played another one, as you do. And that was it. I came off, big round of applause, came down, hugged my mum and dad. It was a wonderful time. But what happened then? A guy came over to me and he said, you are an amazing player. And I said, oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And he said, I'm a music agent. I'd like to give you some gigs. I went, no. I just play at home. I just really enjoy playing music. I don't want to be a professional musician or anything like that. And he said, right, hold on there. Let me explain. Now, let me put this into context for you now, Ryan. What happened? As a mechanical and electrical engineer, I was an apprentice at the time, and I was earning about $10 a week.
Whoa.
A week, yeah. So we're going back to 1970s there, right? So $10 a week. And this guy said, I want to offer you 3 gigs per week. And for 1 gig, I'll pay you $40.
Wow.
So I'm like, ooh, give me a nanosecond to think about that. So my dad was walking over, and I said, hey, Dad, this is Jack. He said, yeah, I know. He works for me at the factory, because my dad was the manager of the largest machine shop in Europe, and he invited all of his workers to come along. And he said, yeah, he's the shop steward at the factory, and he's a music agent as well, he tells me. I said, yeah, he's just offered me some gigs. And he said, oh, and what are you thinking about that? And I said, oh, I don't think I'm ready. And he said, okay, make sure you get your papers first as a mechanical and electrical engineer. That's a sensible fallback thing to do. And then we can talk in a few years' time. So this guy, Jack, he said, no, wait, you can still do that. It's no problem. So 3 gigs a week, you do work at night time, you can still integrate with your job. My son does it also. I'll help you to do it. Okay, so that's what I did. After a short time afterwards, I qualified as a mechanical and electrical engineer, immediately dropped it, became a professional musician. And what happened then? During the day, I used to sell organs, pianos, keyboards, guitars, and all of these things. And at nighttime, I used to work in nightclubs, back in cabaret. Back then, CD had not been invented. The only way to capture music was on the compact cassette, which was no good for broadcasting at all. So if the singer wanted to sing in a nightclub, you needed a live musician. And that was me. That's what I did. So during the day, I used to work in the city at a big store selling musical instruments and stuff. And by night, jump into my van and then a nightclub somewhere around the UK. And what happened one day in the store, a guy came in, Porsche 911, pulled up outside the store, black, Targa.
Oh.
Yeah, stunning car, stunning. So this guy shuts the door and he looks at me in the store. He nods to say hi and he's walking towards me. And I go, wow. So this guy walks in and he said, what's the best piece of equipment you have? So I took him over to this new piece of stuff, and it was made by Technics, National Panasonic. And it was the first time that instruments had been recorded digitally. So when you hit a note on the keyboard for a trumpet, for instance, it was actually a trumpet, not something that was made up to sound like it. And the same for a guitar and things like that. So the sound was fantastic. Now, let me put into context the price of this and why I'm sharing this story with you. We couldn't afford to buy a house. We used to pay rent to the state. And the price of the house then was about $2,000. And we couldn't afford to buy it. This keyboard I was selling was $4,000. It was double the price of the house we were living in that we could not afford.
What year was this?
This would be 1979, something like that. So I'm 19 years old at this stage. 79, 80, something like that.
Okay.
So what happened? Long story short, this guy bought this keyboard. And he said, Jeff, I have a request. And I said, sure. And this was a Thursday. He said, I'd like you to deliver it to my home on Monday, and I'd like you to install it, play a few tunes for me, show me how to work it, and all these things, which is not an unusual request, but at $4,000, you'd kind of expect that, right? So I said, okay, I'll call him Dave, because that's his name. So I said, Dave, we have a special request too. We need cleared funds before we can deliver. He said, that's no problem. I'll call in on Saturday. So we shake hands. He goes away. Saturday morning, this black Porsche 911 Targa pulls up out front. And he walks in with a plastic supermarket bag and just tips it up on my desk with 4,000 folding there. Actually, it was £4,000, so it was about $6,000, something like that. It was a lot of money. So he said, there you are. So I called the boss. We got the money shifted and out of the way. I said, great, I'll see you on Monday. So I got his address, loaded things up on the Monday evening, and I drive over to his home. And wow. So 1979, he'd got electric gates with a brick-built wall at the front. It was like James Bond territory for me. There's a video thing on the wall, and I had to press this button, and his video camera's watching me, and the voice comes up, and I've never seen anything like this before. He says, hey, Jeff, come on in. So he opened the gates. And I go down this driveway and I can hear the gravel crunching under the tires, and I'm creeping along nice and steady, right? There's a fountain at the end of this driveway with a mermaid and dolphin, and it's just, wow. Big double oak doors, and one of these doors opens, and there's Dave. And he waves to me. Hey, Jeff, welcome. And I said, wow, you have a beautiful place. He said, thank you very much. Come on in. So he opened the other door, so we had the double doors open. And he said, this is where I want you to bring it through. So we went inside his house, and I put my foot, the first step into his house, my foot sank into his carpet. And I've never experienced anything like it. The pile under my feet just sank. And it was like, wow, it was incredible. Beautiful place. And inside, he got the baby grand piano in the hallway. 2 stairways going up. I'm like, oh my goodness me. So he takes me through to the east wing of his house. This was U-shaped, this mansion. I'd never experienced anything like it. So we got the kit inside there. I played it for him. It was awesome. And then I came away, and I was in awe. And I was thinking, how is it? You know, my dad is the manager of the largest machine shop in Europe. He's had a hand in building lots of bridges all over the world, the Thames Barrier in London, a bridge over the Bosphorus, and all kinds of things. And we broke. And here's a guy who was quite young. He was about 40. And he'd got a Porsche 911 Targa. He got this huge mansion of a house. He just bought my dream piece of equipment from Technics, and it was like, and the guy couldn't play. That was the amazing thing. He'd bought the best thing ever, and he just wanted to learn to play. And I think, wow. So then my thoughts started. How is it that successful people become successful? What is it they do? What is it they think? What is it they know? Because whatever it was, my dad hadn't got it, and this guy had. And I wanted to know the difference. So I decided to find out. Now, because I'm working in nightclubs, and anybody who wanted to sing needed a live musician, I was exposed to some very, very successful and very, very famous people. So what I decided to do was to find out, what is this formula for success? So over the next 10 years or so, I formally interviewed 325 millionaires, successful people, and high achievers to find out what they did. And as I formalized my questions, I fine-tune them and fine-tune them and fine-tune them. And then I realized after these interviews, they all did 11 things in common. Now, what's fascinating about this, Ryan, is that some of these people knew these 11 steps and they knew what they were doing. Some people didn't know. It was innate, but they did the same things anyway. Some of the people knew some of the steps, but when I made them aware of all of the 11 steps, they said, wow, I knew I was doing some of this, but now I know the science behind it. I can now accelerate my progress to be even faster, which they did. So I then thought, right, if I apply these 11 steps to my own life, maybe I can be successful too. Break the mold that I was born into for my parents, because that's how we're conditioned in many cases. And that's what happened. So to explain your opening on the story, I was lazy at school. I wasn't interested in school. My passion was music. I failed at math. I failed at English. I applied the 11 steps of success to my own life. And now I'm on record as the most successful author in history on a book about mathematics. It's incredible, right?
It's very incredible, but we're going to get into these 11 steps because they're just itching. I want to hear about these because I'm curious. I want to see if I'm doing any of them.
Okay. So what's fascinating? There are 11. The order doesn't matter so much, but you need the first 4. Without the first 4, you're going nowhere. Okay. After that, it's important that you know them. But let me see if I can start you off with the first 4 anyway. I don't think we'll have time for all 11. But as you know, I have a podcast show myself called Secrets of Success, where you can go have a listen and maybe find out a little more there. So step 1. Most people fail with step 1. I would say 96% of people fail. Maybe even 97. It's a real high percentage. Even when they know step 1, they can't do it. Here it is. I can see you going, tell me what is it?
Come on.
What do you want? Now, what does that mean?
Wait. What do you want is step number 1?
Yep. And most people...
96 or 97% of people don't know what they want.
That's absolutely true.
Okay, I'll let you dig into it because I got a bunch of questions, so go for it.
Yeah. Let me explain. Most people don't know what they want, or if they do know what they want, it's far, far, far too vague and generic. The difference with successful people and those that are perhaps like more in the life is that successful people know absolutely to the nth degree exactly what they want. Exactly. And clarity is 100%. So let me give you some examples of this. I'll go with the ridiculous because it kind of makes the point.
Okay.
So if I'm questioned on stage, somebody I usually talk about business strategy, business success, key performance indicators when I'm on stage. But lots of people come along and I'll say, are there any questions? And some say, yeah, what's the 11 steps of success? I've got some of your books, I've heard your podcast, whatever. And I'll say, okay, let's have an example then. And like you, tell me what they are. Mm-hmm. Right. Most people don't know what they want. So I'll bring someone on and I'll say, okay, step number 1 is what you want. Can you tell me what do you want? And they'll say, yeah, more money. So what I do, I would say more than 50% of people would say more money. That's what I want in my life.
So just really quick, what they're too vague, 1, and 2, they haven't put time and effort into understanding what they want out of life to get somewhere is what you're trying to tell me, is that they just want to be richer, but they don't know how to become richer.
Richer is 1. And I think to begin with, when we talk about success, most people associate success with money. When I was 19 years old, I did too. So I said earlier, what is it that makes successful people successful? When I was 19, I didn't think that. I was thinking, how does a millionaire become a millionaire? Because I associated money to be with success. But that's not the case. Money's nice. Money just buys you time and gives you choice. That's all. Doesn't buy anything else. So what happens, people will say, okay, my dream, I want more money. And I'll say, okay, I'll put my hand in my pocket. I'll give them $1 bill. I'll say, there you are. Your dreams are fulfilled. And they go, no, that's not what I want. And I say, hey, you were not specific. You just said more money. So let me just imagine here. I don't want to get into religion or anything like that, but let's just say the universe. So the universe delivers. So if you ask the universe, your God, your religion, or whatever it might be, you ask, it will deliver. But you have to be specific what you ask for. So if you ask the universe for more money and you get $1 bill, as I give in my example, you got more money. So no, I want more than that. You know that. And I said, I don't know that. All you did was to ask for more money and you got more money. Your dreams were fulfilled. Now, let me give you the polar opposite of that from someone who is successful. Within their goal, if you ask someone, and so I'm using money now, but it can relate to anything, a successful people would say, okay, I want $1 million. And the way I want that $1 million to manifest is in my bank account, and it will be on June the 12th, 2023, and it'll be at lunchtime. I'm going to look at my bank statement. I'm going to see lots of transactions with money in and out. But along there will be a line saying $1 million at 12 noon on the 12th of June, 2023. And it will be absolutely that specific. And it needs to be. So the universe can deliver on that. If you say I want more money and you get $1, then
you got more money. I agree.
Who's wrong? Absolutely. So when we think about success and what is it that you want, people struggle to get the degree of clarity that's necessary for the universe to deliver. It's too generic. I want a bigger house. I want a nicer car. I want more money. I want to write a book.
Doesn't a lot of that just come with, I'm going to say this, inexperience, and this is very vague and very broad, I got it, but let me drill down even further, is truly understanding how you as an individual function. So I'll go back to a piece because we're talking universe and so forth. Your inner has to match your outer. And if you're just looking for money and that's all you're trying to do, you're never going to accomplish anything to that extent. So what does your inner tell you versus your outer? And if those two don't match, you're never going to get anywhere. And that's just something I've learned in a very short period on this earth at 48 years old, that if I'm looking to be rich and I want to make, let's say, $10,000 a month, how are you going to make that $10,000 a month? You got to start. I'm with you. You got to get to the granular level. The challenge that I see, and this is just from my experience, my humble experience on the other side of my businesses through financial coaching, whether you're a doctor, an attorney, or a pilot that come to me for financial coaching when they're broke, or an individual that has been unbankable most of their life and, like you said, potentially poor, they all have one thing in common. They have a toxic relationship with money, and they have to find that root of that relationship and understand why it's the way it is today so they can get past it and move forward. And it doesn't matter if you have money or you don't have money. We all have some type of root issue that we have to go through. And that's just me simplifying it, but that's also me saying, I get where you're getting at on step one, and I can't believe it's 97%. I thought maybe 70, 80%, but 97, that's just a huge number.
Let me give you an example of why it is such a huge number. So, excuse me one. I've written a book, which is number one in its field, to the extent of, if you look at the top 10, it's outsold the collective top 10 on its own. It's that far ahead. There isn't a number two. It's just so far out there. So other people who've written books come to me and say, Jeff, how do you get a number one best-selling book? And the way I did it, I knew what I wanted before I wrote a single word. And I didn't just think, hey, I want a number one book. I want to be the best in the world at what I do. It wasn't that generic. I spent 3 months getting clarity, writing my goal down. Step number 2 is write it down, what you want. And I don't mean type it on a keyboard. There's something about taking a pen or a pencil and writing it on paper that connects us with what we're doing. It's different to typing. But
it's a lost art.
Yeah, sure. I struggle with it, but when you're doing your goals, still you need to write. So coming back to the specificity of the project, it took me 3 months to get clarity on what I wanted. Now, by comparison, I did a podcast with a lady, and she was on my show because she'd written a book.
Okay.
And she said, Jeff, I want to ask you a question. She said, I want to write another book. Can you coach me and help me? And I said, but you've already written a book. Why do you need coaching and helping? And she said, this is for my... Yeah. So she said, well, I want to write my second book. And I said, okay. So why do you need coaching and helping to write a book if you've already done it? And she said, and she's thinking, I said, you've already written a book. So what do you need help with? She said, I want to write a bestseller. And I said, okay, do you know what a bestseller is? Apart from what the words mean, do you know what a bestseller actually means? How many books do you have to sell to get a bestseller? She said, oh, actually, no, I don't know that. So I said, all right, life is about cause and effect. And what we have to get into is you can't change the effects. You can only change the causes. So if you don't like the effects in your life, you have to change the causes. So being a best-selling author is an effect. So you have to understand the causes that make that happen. Now, I can share with you now what's interesting. Of every book that's published in the world, how many books are sold for every book that's written on average? Now, you've got the massive ones like J.K. Rowling who sell billions. And then you've got the vanity publishers. So on average, how many copies does a book sell? The answer is 400. That's not many.
That's amazing. I thought there would be more.
Yeah, it's 400. Now, bear in mind, you've got the big hitters in there. So there's some people that are selling 25. Once they've outsold their family, then no one else will buy one. And then you've got others who've sold billions. The average is 400. So it's not many, right? So in order to get to be on the best-selling list, you've got to sell a minimum of 5,000. So very few, very few books actually sell more than 5,000 copies. So it doesn't sound a lot. It does not sound a lot, right?
No, not at all.
I said to this lady, if you want to be on the bestseller list, for starters, for entry, you have to sell at least 5,000 copies. That doesn't make you a bestseller. That's just, okay, if you've done 5,000 copies, then you're through the gate. We can now talk to you and compare with others within your field. If you haven't sold 5,000, then you're not coming in. So I said, do you have the capacity to sell 5,000 copies? And she said, right. I hadn't really thought about that. I said, okay. So what we need to do that now, you've already written a book. And I said, why do you want to write another one? And here's the point of the story, really. She said, I want a best-selling book, which I now know I have to sell 5,000 copies just to get considered to be moved in with the rest of the field. She said, but I wish I'd known that when I started, because I've already written a book, but it's not selling. They're in my garage. And here's the point. I said, did you write a goal? She said, yeah. I said, what was your goal? She said, I wanted to write a book. I said, in that case, the universe delivered.
You wrote a book.
You wrote a book. You didn't ask to sell in excess of 5,000 copies, 10,000 copies, 100,000 copies. Your goal, your aspirations were to write a book. Ryan, she started crying. She said, I get it now. I get it. I've been so stupid. And I said, no. It's not about being stupid. It's that you must be very clear about what you ask for, and then the universe can then work its magic to deliver what you're asking for. I said, if we go back and your goal was to write a book, you're not silly, stupid or anything. The universe delivered, and you worked hard and you wrote a book. I said, now you've written a book, your goals have changed for that book and it doesn't sell. And I said, here's why. When you do a goal for your second book, your goal is actually not to write a book. Your goal is to help people, to help them. In this case, she's an expert in real estate. And it was to help people to know how to buy and sell, when to buy and when to sell real estate, use it as an investment and grow their portfolio and grow. And she was amazingly successful, written a book. And I said, okay, what you want to do is write a best-selling book. How many copies do you want to sell? She said, well, 5,000. And I said, why? She said, because then it's a bestseller. And I said, no, that just qualifies you to get into the room of the bestsellers. I said, if you ask to sell 5,000 copies, you'll sell 5,000 copies. If you ask to sell 100,000 copies, then you'll be helped to sell a book that's 100,000 copies. Now, let me tell you why that's important. Because if you decide, my goal is to write a book, I always ask people, well, why do you want to write a book? Because for some people, that's enough. Mm-hmm. They just want to write a book. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. That's enough. But for other people, they want to help people or they want to make money. So consider this. If you want to write a book and you want to make money from your book for all the right reasons, and you set your sights on selling 100,000 copies, consider this. What you have to do before you start writing is to say, what kind of book do I need to write? What will be the format of that book in order for people to want to buy that book? How much do I price it at? Where is the market for it in order for me to tap into and fulfill the 100,000 copies? Now think about that as a concept and then think of the goal as, I want to write a book. Now, would your writing style be different for each goal? Hell yeah, of course it would. Yeah. Because the difference is, in the first case, she'd written, and it's not selling, she'd written a book that she wanted to write, as opposed to writing a book that people wanted to buy. You get the difference between the two?
Oh, so, yeah. It's huge research, too, also, and understanding your audience. I mean, there's just so many things that go into that. But I got to go back to the 400. I just really did not understand. I didn't know that. And that's just amazing how so many people publish books, but only sell an average of 400 copies.
An average. So there are
is it an lower. Average or is an average or a median?
That's an average.
Okay.
So every book that's written, the average sells 400 copies.
That's a lot of time and effort for not much return.
Some people are happy with that. Some people just want the name on the book. Some people just think, I want a book, it's in me and I want to write it. And that's fine. That's great. You know, I've helped people to write books and they feel wonderful afterwards. And I'll say, it won't make money. I say, I don't care. I just knew I had to write this book and I've written it. Wonderful. Wonderful sense of fulfillment. But there are others, there are others who write a book to support their business, which is a fantastic thing to do, and it doesn't sell. And the reason is because they start off their journey by writing a book that they want to write or that they think they should write, rather than designing a book that people want to buy. And that's what I did. It took me 3 months to really get my goal together. I knew the book that people wanted to buy, and because I'd done lots of research and work beforehand. But then it's, how do I make that work, and how do I get it to be number one in the world? How do I do that? And that was what the goal was all about. So I did all that first before I wrote a single word. So by design, it was always going to be the best-selling book in the world on its subject. So therefore, your attitude to writing and what you write and how it's written is a massive difference between that and, hey, I want to write a book.
That's huge difference, but that also translates to life.
It does indeed.
And a huge divide and difference in how people are successful and how they're not. And I see that daily, and I love the story that you're telling, but it's just so apparent and so obvious, but we don't take the time to put the work in on the front end to achieve the goals that we want on the back end.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I say 97% of people do not know what they want with any degree of clarity. Now you know what I mean by with any degree of clarity. Because you try it now, you ask people what they want, they either can't tell you or it's so wishy-washy, it's generic and meaningless. And I say to people, all right, I am the universe. Tell me what you want. You ask me and I'll give it to you. Just tell me what you want. Very, very few can tell me what they want. Very, very few.
It's very, very sad, but also very truthful.
It is indeed. So you asked earlier, is it because we don't know, we're uneducated? I think that's what it is.
So,
I think
go ahead. So from the uneducated piece, I'm going to dive in, and then we're running short on time here. So I want to be able to get a few other things in. We can always have you come back. Yeah. Good conversation. Yeah. The uneducated piece, is it, and I'm just going to break it into two: formal education versus non-formal, or just life in general education?
Life in general, because nothing to do with formal education. And I'm evidence of that. I went through school. I was lazy. I mean, I worked my ass off afterwards, and I've got educated afterwards to in the subjects that I wanted. But at school, I didn't get the formal education. And then I've come out and found out, let me say, this life education. I've gone through the University of Life. And by interviewing these 325 people, I found out the degree of clarity was unbelievable compared with the masses. They knew what they want. So it's about life skills, not formal education. When you know how to write a goal, it's different to just writing one. And I've had lots of people tell me, oh yeah, I've tried writing goals, it doesn't work. Well, there's two things there. Yeah, goals don't work unless you do. And then the other one is, and then the other one is, it's funny, but it's so true.
It's true.
Very and true. Then the other one is, having a goal is not enough. It's writing it correctly in a way that the universe can deliver. That's what I'm saying.
I love that. I love that piece because I believe in the secret, the universe. I got all that. And it's last night I felt like I needed to reconnect myself because I felt like I was falling off my goals. So I throw the secret on my headset and, listen to it and just it gets me going back again. But I think what I'm going to take away, there's many things I'm going to take away, but one of the things I'm going to go back to, unfortunately, I haven't used pen to paper for my goals. I have a goal app on my phone. Okay. I think I'm going to go back to pen to paper, and I'm going to try that because I thought about it while you were talking about it, and it seems to be more real now that I think about it when I did do that, to where it's coming from my hand to that paper, and there's like that connection. Now I'm just typing it on my phone, and I don't resonate with it, or it doesn't connect with me.
Yeah. You can use your phone and your computer. I do to start the process of writing things down. And when I start, I just put words, just bullet points, not whole sentences, because what we do with sentences as we're going, we're trying to edit as we're going and go back and edit and things like that. So I bypass the editing phase within us, and I just think of the key points, and I just drop those words into my word processor, Microsoft Word, drop them, and then I try to make sense of the words I've put down. But when I'm getting close, pen and paper.
I like that. I think I'm going to try that because I don't have a problem with goals. I think goals are great. I too struggled probably when I first started doing goals many years ago, as being more specific. I don't get down to the date. I get down to the month because that gives me better clarity. And then once I get closer to that month, then I start drilling down. I like to go back and revisit and then drill down even further. So like, a good example for me is, we're trying to launch 4 new builds in an affordable housing space. So I have things I got to accomplish, but one of the things I want to do is I want to be able to start, building the homes in the month of August and being able to have them finished before the end of the year. Now I say the end of the year, I talk December. So now I've gotten more specific and I say, okay, I want to have this done by December 15th. But in there's a bunch of sub goals that I try to put into myself in there because there's a lot of different things that go along with that. And I know I'm overcomplicating it, but also at the same time, goals need to be, and I say this, personalized, and they need to be they need to resonate with you, because if they don't, you're never going to accomplish them. And when I work with individuals, coaching wise, it's amazing how many of them don't actually have personalized goals. They just say, I want to get out of debt. Well, what does getting out of debt look like? Everybody wants to have zero debt. Well, guess what? You got to make it more personalized to you. Do you want to pay off your first 3 credit cards that total a balance of $22,000 by this date? That's really more personalized. But we seem to want this can go to a whole nother rabbit hole. We don't want to do work. We've lost the ability to put hard-earned work in because of what the internet and social media has done to us for the instant gratification. And it's sad because generations like you and like myself, because I didn't grow up on the internet. I can remember being on an Apple and a Commodore, but I grew up without a computer initially. So I'm not connected to it. But those generations that are, just think that, hey, you put it on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever, and I'm going to become a millionaire overnight and not put any work or effort into it.
Yeah. So a couple of things I'll pick up on there is the instant gratification. Yep. One of the 11 steps is delayed gratification.
Like that.
And if I can summarize what you just said, the dictionary is the only place that success comes before work.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, lots of people say goals don't work. Yeah, they don't unless you do.
Yep.
And then it's about understanding what you need to do to deliver on what you want. Understand the causes in life. Life is about cause and effect. If you don't like the effects in your life, you have to change the causes. If you're overweight, great. Eat less, exercise more. That's it. Calories in, calories out. Count what's going in, count what's going out. There's nothing else behind it. No one else is going to do it for you. That's it. And you can bring stuff down like that using key performance indicators in business, your personal life, your finance, building homes. They're all there. But
you got to put the work in on the front end.
You got to put the work in on the front end. But the thing is, the nice thing about key performance indicators, they're like a roadmap for your goal that says, are we moving in the right direction? That's the purpose of them. But it's important to have your goal in the first place. You don't just start up in business and see what happens. And that's the same for everything in life. And I bet now, Ryan, you're going to start using dates. Because if you
I actually am. You made me think about that. And now I'm thinking, okay, Now can I, and I say this, can I grind it out a little bit more and push myself a little bit harder to start hitting dates? And I truly believe I can. I'm not there on time. I struggle with that because I think that might be a little bit of a letdown for me. But in the end, the date will not, because as long as I accomplish it by the date, checkbox, I'm good.
Yeah. I tell you what will probably happen. You've gone for a month. So let's say we need to start this house build in June so I can finish it by December. What you'll start saying now is, because June the 30th wouldn't be any good, right?
No.
You'd still be in June. So already you know it can't be just as vague as June. So you'll probably say now, I need to get this build started before the end of the first week in June. So if the end of the first week in June is June the 7th, for instance, your goal will probably read, I need to get this project started before the 7th of June. And the universe delivers. And that's what's going to happen to you. Because I need to get completion on this, not in December. You don't want it done Christmas. It's not going to get done Christmas. And I want completion on this by December 18.
Yes.
And I think that's what's really going on in your head. But by the time you apply the science to it, as I said to previously successful people, once they start to hone things like this, they became more successful and in a faster time too. And I think that's what happened to you. I can see you smiling now. You know it's right.
Oh yeah, I know it's totally right. I agree 100%. There's no argument. Zero.
Yeah,
I totally agree. And my head is already, turning, and my mind is going, because there's so many other goals that I put out there that I can start. Okay, can I refine those? And where I'm going to refine them is on paper. I'll still use my app for my goals, but I'll start there. And then once I get to that point, pen to paper.
Yep.
I like that. Yep. I really do.
Yeah. And then write it every day for a week.
Yes.
So
I do more than that today. I commit to it every single day until I hit the goal.
Yeah. Oh, even better.
So I commit to it till I hit the goal, but it's on my phone app. So, that's where the difference is going to be, is now I got to commit. How I'm going to have to lay this out. This could be a whole nother episode. We can have you back on. We can follow up.
And we're only on step 2 already.
Yeah. And we're short on time. So we're going to have to wrap this up and get the next, we'll have to do another episode.
That's no problem, my friend. Do we have any more time left, or is this a wrap?
This would be a wrap, because we're close to an hour here. So, we will definitely get you back on. How can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you?
Okay, there's a few ways. My website is jeff-smith.com. That's Jeff, jeff-smith.com. There's lots of stuff on there. I'm happy to speak with people and help them with their goals. I don't charge for that. I'm quite happy to help and give advice. But if you want to pick some stuff up, I also do a podcast, which is called Secrets of Success. And what that's about, I interview successful people who've achieved some stuff. And again, it's designed so I'm searching for the 11 steps of success within them. And when we find some, like you, I go, whoa, hold a minute. Here's one of the steps. So, yeah. So it's a fascinating podcast. You can find it on Apple, Secrets of Success. But it's also on my website too, with show notes on each of the episodes. So we have everything from flying car to the Stig from BBC's Top Gear, and all kinds of stuff. So interesting.
Wow. We'll link in the show notes your website and also your podcast, because I think a lot of people get some great information out of it. Just what I got. In the matter of time we were talking, I already. The cogs are turning.
Well, it'd be wonderful to come back and give you step 3 and step 4, maybe. That's fascinating.
And we maybe even go even closer to that, get all the way down to 11 if we just get right to it.
You see, You see people say, oh, what's step 4? What's step 5? What's step 6? And say, this is not going to help you because this has been a program for 1 hour, which is like, wow, that's gone. And all we've talked about is what do you want?
Exactly.
And there's equally, if not more information on all of the other steps too. So to get the remaining 10 or 9 steps in a program, Ryan, it's not going to work. You're going to ask me too many questions. I know.
Well, guess what? Maybe we make a series out of it. I don't know.
Well, maybe I
series.
Yeah, there we go. Or maybe I get you as a guest on my show. That would be pretty cool too. I'd love to do that.
I'll be more than willing to come on and be a guinea pig.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, you wouldn't be a big guinea pig. It's already happening. So there's already some shows in the can. So let's get it on. So when we finish, I'll continue talking with you and we'll book an appointment to get you onto my show. That would be great. For now, awesome. Ryan, thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking with you. I feel absolutely blessed. Thank you so much.
Jeff, thank you for coming on. It's been great. And I mean, I have an eye opener on a lot of stuff. There's a lot of nuggets in this show that our listeners will love, but I'm taking away a lot myself. So my mind's already turning. So I got some work to do.
Ah, good for you. I'm thankful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.